Today, we are looking at the blades that carved their names into history, the iconic, deadly combat knives carried by soldiers on all sides of World War II. USA M1 bayonet. Replacing the overly long models from the turn of the century, this 10-inch blade became the standard-issue bayonet for the iconic M1 Garand rifle. It was intentionally shortened to allow soldiers greater maneuverability inside tight trenches and dense vegetation. Mark I trench knife, a brutal legacy of the First World War that maintained its terrifying relevance well into World War II. Its defining feature was a solid bronze hilt integrated with a built-in brass knuckle guard, engineered to deliver devastating, bone-shattering strikes. M3 trench knife. This dedicated combat knife was issued primarily to specialized troops whose standard-issue firearms could not mount a traditional bayonet. Featuring a 7-inch blade and a stacked leather washer handle, it provided exceptional grip texture and flawless balance. USMC Mark II combat knife, the ultimate timeless symbol of the United States Marine Corps. Forged to survive the absolute most punishing environmental extremes, it featured a robust clip-point blade and a heavy steel pommel cap on the butt of the handle. V-42 stiletto, a highly specialized surgical weapon issued exclusively to elite commando units and sabotage groups like the 1st Special Service Force. Its needle-like, razor-sharp stiletto blade could effortlessly pierce through thick winter uniforms, while the distinct pointed skull-crusher pommel on the handle was designed for lethal strikes to an enemy's head. OSS Smatchet, a heavy-profile, leaf-shaped hacking blade custom-engineered for clandestine intelligence agents and special operations units. Its broad, massive blade could inflict catastrophic wounds. Soviet Union Mosin Nagant socket bayonet. This is a classic, dedicated thrusting weapon featuring a highly recognizable cruciform blade profile. It was securely locked onto the rifle's muzzle using a specialized spring-loaded collar mechanism. Mosin Nagant folding bayonet. With this model, Red Army engineers transformed the bayonet into an integral, non-detachable component of the carbine itself. In the transport position, it folds compactly back along the right side of the barrel and can be deployed into combat readiness with a single fluid motion. NR-40 combat knife, the primary close-quarters blade of the Soviet infantry, featuring a distinctive clip-point profile. It is instantly recognizable by its black-painted wooden handle and its inverted S-shaped guard, which was uniquely curved forward to facilitate a specialized reverse grip, blade edge facing the user, for stealth takedowns. Shashka. This traditional Caucasian saber, completely lacking a handguard, became the definitive symbol of the Soviet cavalry forces. Engineered with a slight continuous curve, the Shashka allowed riders to deliver devastating, high-velocity slashing strikes directly from the saddle. MPL-50, a simple entrenching tool that transformed into a terrifying, lethal close-quarters weapon in the hands of a Soviet soldier. The razor-sharpened edges of its steel blade made it far more devastating in hand-to-hand combat than a tactical hatchet. Germany Seitengewehr, the standard-issue bayonet of the legendary Mauser 98K carbine. Featuring a short, straight, fullered blade, it was exceptionally well-balanced, which allowed soldiers to frequently utilize it as a standard utility and field knife. Infanterie Messer 42. Adopted in 1942, this knife was engineered as a streamlined, simplified combat blade, optimized for rapid mass production. Its utilitarian construction featured a stamped steel blade paired with simple wooden handle scales. Wehrmacht soldiers famously tucked this weapon into their boot shafts, Stiefelmesser. M1937 Fallschirmjägermesser, a unique piece of specialized hardware issued to German paratroopers and Luftwaffe flight crews. By depressing a specialized thumb lever, the blade freely deploys from the handle via gravity or a quick flick of the wrist. Hitlerjugend Fahrtenmesser, the standard-issue utility knife of the youth organization, closely mimicking the silhouette of an army bayonet. Its straight, single-edged blade was pinned into a metal hilt outfitted with textured composite grip plates. Although never intended to serve as a primary combat weapon, SS Dienstdolch, this dagger served strictly as an element of the ceremonial dress uniform and a symbol of ideological status rather than a practical tool for the trenches. Its aesthetic blueprint was directly adapted from historical 16th century Holbein daggers. Seitengewehr 42, a bold, late-war engineering experiment aimed at producing the ultimate multifunctional survival knife. Its composite hollow handle concealed a specialized toolkit designed for minor weapon maintenance and field repairs. Great Britain, 1907 bayonet, the classic, iconic, long-profile bayonet issued for the Lee Enfield rifle. Its impressive sword-like dimensions allowed a British infantryman to keep the enemy at a safe standoff distance during intense hand-to-hand combat. Fairbairn-Sykes fighting knife, the legendary Commando dagger, custom-engineered by William Fairbairn and Eric Sykes. Its sleek, narrow stiletto blade was flawlessly optimized for lightning-fast, deep-thrusting strikes, while its distinct foiled grip allowed operators to instantly pivot the angle of attack. It remains the definitive blueprint for elite military special forces blades worldwide. British Smatchet, a fearsome close-quarters combat weapon issued to assault units and designed for delivering devastating hacking and slashing wounds. The heavy, leaf-shaped blade allowed a soldier to literally chop a path through fortified enemy trenches. Its pure kinetic chopping power made it an absolute favorite among British airborne troops. Kukri, the legendary forward-curving blade of the Nepalese Gurkhas serving within the ranks of the British Army. Due to its uniquely front-heavy balance profile, a single swing from a Kukri delivers kinetic force comparable to an executioner's axe. During high-stakes night patrols, the Gurkhas wielded this weapon with terrifying efficiency, cementing its reputation as one of the most lethal blades in military history. Welsh trench knife, a rare, archaic weapon directly inspired by ancient Celtic short swords. It featured a broad leaf-shaped blade paired with a heavy circular handguard for optimal fist protection. The vast majority of these unique blades were purchased privately by officers using their own funds, making them distinct historical testaments to personal initiative on the front line. China, Type 24 bayonet, a Chinese adaptation of contemporary German designs, custom-built to withstand the brutal onslaught of the Imperial Japanese invaders. Its elongated blade profile was intentionally engineered to give Chinese soldiers a critical reach advantage, helping to compensate for their severe lack of frontline firepower during desperate close-quarters melee combat. It was a straightforward, exceptionally rugged weapon, produced in massive numbers to arm the Republic's forces. Dadao, a massive, heavy-profile, two-handed war sword that became the ultimate definitive symbol of Chinese popular resistance. Its wide, top-heavy chopping blade was specifically forged to decapitate enemy combatants with a single devastating fluid swing. wielded with terrifying proficiency by dedicated Chinese big knife units, the Dadao struck raw psychological horror into Japanese ranks, proving that cold steel could overcome firearms in claustrophobic close combat. Miao Dao, a long, elegant, and slender two-handed saber that beautifully blended traditional Chinese swordsmanship with historical Japanese design influences. Elite Chinese shock troops and specialized units utilized its extreme flexibility and long reach to aggressively parry and bypass enemy rifle bayonets. Mastering this weapon required top-tier martial arts proficiency, allowing the wielder to execute lightning-fast, sweeping slashing strikes. Japan. Type 30 bayonet. The primary ubiquitous bayonet of the Imperial Japanese Army, specifically engineered to mate with the long Arisaka rifle series. Its defining characteristic was a distinct forward-curving hooked quillon on the handguard, designed to catch, trap, and deflect an opponent's blade during bayonet fencing. Japanese soldiers wielded this steel with fanatical aggression during banzai charges, viewing the bayonet as a direct physical extension of the unyielding samurai spirit, Bushido. Type 2 paratrooper bayonet, a compact, streamlined variant of the standard combat bayonet, engineered exclusively for the Imperial Navy and Army airborne drops. Its shortened blade geometry ensured it would not snag or hinder the soldier during high-risk paratrooper deployments, fitting flawlessly onto the paratrooper's specialized takedown rifle. This highly sought-after, rare weapon underscored the specialized tactical needs of Japan's elite airborne forces. Type 95 Shin Gunto, the standard-issue military sword distributed to non-commissioned officers, carefully styled to mimic the silhouette of a traditional samurai katana, but optimized for industrial mass production. It featured a distinct aluminum hilt meticulously cast to replicate traditional silk cord wrapping, paired with a machine-forged, combat-hardened steel blade built for brutal, practical hacking in the chaos of battle. These swords led front lines into assaults and served as a stark symbol of tactical field authority. Yasukuni Tanto, a highly revered traditional dagger hand-forged by master swordsmiths within the sacred grounds of the Yasukuni Shrine. These blades were proudly carried by kamikaze pilots and naval officers as a profound physical manifestation of absolute ultimate devotion to the emperor. For many Japanese warriors, this dagger transcended its function as a mere weapon, serving instead as a sacred, holy object intended to preserve their honor in a final ritual act. Italy. M1891 Carcano bayonet, a highly reliable fixed-blade bayonet engineered for the classic Italian infantry rifle architecture. Its straightforward utilitarian design, paired with simple wooden handle scales, made it incredibly low maintenance under the brutal environmental extremes of the North African deserts and the snow-covered alpine ridges. It remained the foundational close-quarters steel for Italian forces throughout the entirety of the war. M1938 Carcano folding bayonet, an unconventional engineering attempt to field a folding bayonet mechanism for compact carbines. The blade was designed to fold back directly into a recessed groove under the rifle's handguard for optimal transport ergonomics. However, under gritty frontline combat conditions, the folding pivot mechanism frequently jammed with mud and debris, forcing the military to ultimately return to proven fixed-blade designs. M1939 Pugnale, the standard-issue combat dagger of the Italian infantry. Outfitted with a straight, single-edged profile and a robust steel pommel cap, it was designed to function seamlessly as both a lethal weapon and a rugged field tool. It was a durable, no-nonsense, middle-of-the-road blade that reliably got the job done across any theater or climate. MVSN 1937 Honor Dagger, the ceremonial edged weapon of the Voluntary Militia for National Security, the infamous fascist blackshirts, visually defined by its striking eagle head pommel design. Despite its highly aggressive aesthetic silhouette, this dagger was used far more as a parade prop, political status symbol, and tool of civilian intimidation than as a practical instrument for high-intensity frontline combat. Finland. M39 bayonet. Custom engineered for the legendary Finnish M39 rifle, this unique bayonet shared far more design DNA with a traditional hunting knife than a standard military pike. Finnish designers intentionally omitted the traditional barrel mounting ring to vastly improve the blade's handling balance. In the dense, frozen taiga forests, it proved indispensable for both close-quarters combat and everyday survival tasks. Puukko, the traditional iconic utility knife that practically every Finnish soldier had mastered since early childhood. Its simple, sleek geometry is deeply deceptive. In the hands of a skilled, white-camouflaged ski trooper, the Puukko transformed into a terrifyingly lethal instrument for silent night raids. It proved definitively that a perfectly balanced everyday tool could outclass specialized military bayonets in raw combat efficiency.